At a time when every dollar counts, Capital Ford in Santa Fe is stepping up and offering employee pricing for everyone. Yes, employee pricing for everyone is now available on new Fords. You pay what Ford employees pay. Employee pricing means save up to $9,000 off MSRP on a new 25 Ford F-150 or save up to $4,800 off plus 3.9% APR on a new 24 Ford Bronco. From America, for America. We're Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Ladies and gentlemen, from La Casa de los Lobos, the Pit, here at the University of New Mexico, let's get ready to rumble!
Hitting you with the triple hey there. How's everybody doing? My name is Ryan Tamori. This is the Pit Press Live. For all you Nick Nunez lovers out there, I'm flying solo. No Ed Nunez tonight, no Nick Nunez tonight. Eric is at Disneyland. Tried to get Neff on. Jacob couldn't join tonight. So flying solo. Been gone for a week. Happy to be back. UNM baseball last week and then the NFL schedule release. I wasn't going to compete with any of that. For those of you that give me shit all the time, go New York, go New York, go. All right. Busy show, and I'll get to our guest coming up, Nick Lorenzen from Mid-Major Madness. Few house cleaning things first. Think you know Lobo Athletics? Think again. The Pit Press Plus is your all-access pass to the heart and the hustle of the new University of New Mexico Athletic Department. With a monthly or yearly subscription, you'll unlock behind-the-scenes stories you won't hear anywhere else, unless you're a diehard fan, a stats junkie, or just here for spicy locker room gossip. The Pit Press Plus has something for you. Subscribe today. Support local journalism, and remember, real Lobo fans don't settle for the sidelines. $2 a month or $25 for the entire year. All Lobo, no filter. Go to pitpressnm.com. Obviously, a little bit slow right now, but things will pick up here quickly. UNM baseball, big news for the Lobos baseball team ahead of their Mountain West tournament opener tomorrow. 6 players have earned all conference honors. Outfielder Khalil Walker, infielder Josh McAllister, and first baseman Ethan Ott made the all Mountain West first team, while pitcher Daxton Purser and outfielders Jordy Orick and Will Aspie landed on the second team. New Mexico led the NCAA in Division I batting average, 339 in doubles per game, almost 3. And after Saturday's win over Fresno State, they've hit 30 wins for the first time since 2017. Ray Birmingham, we're efforting him. Should be on soon. Tomorrow, number 3 Lobos face San Jose State at 2 p.m. at Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona. Catch all the action free with the Mountain West Network at golobos.com. Watch or live radio with Rob Portnoy, the voice of the Lobos, on golobos.com /BSB radio. Very quickly on the track and field team and cross country is a big time history for New Mexico track and field over the weekend. The Lobos swept the Mountain West Championship, clinching their first ever outdoor team title on Saturday night with 153 points. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what that means. But the men weren't far behind, scoring 171.5 points, their highest championship total since 2011. Had the pleasure of meeting Joe Franklin back in my days at the Daily Lobo and pushing Colorado State to the edge in the 4x400 meter final. The women dropped 30 points in the 5,000 meter final, then dominated 4x4 medley relay, sealing the title with a winning time. I'm going to gather that's 3 minutes and 35. No, I guess it would be 3 hours. It's a relay. Could be wrong there. Coach, it's not my forte. Coach Darren Gausen was named Mountain West Women's Coach of the Year, and Matthew Kosig shattered the steeplechase meet record. I don't know what these numbers are. I even wrote this, but it was a legendary performance for track and field. So anyway, not to bore you with that type of stuff, but congratulations to the track and field team. And again, baseball tomorrow, Todd Brown, 2:00, Mountain West Network. And then on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal, Rob Portnoy on the call. Now to basketball talk. It's been a hot minute, Nick, since we've talked basketball on the show, which is an oddity. Our next guest, my next guest tonight, is a dedicated voice in college basketball, covering the sport with insight and passion. You know him as Mid-Major Madness. He's a Gamecock and now a LaSalle graduate assistant. And then you can follow him at Mid-Major Madness on the old X, or the artist formerly known as Twitter, at @mid_madness. His name is Nick Lorenzen. My man, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy that you guys out in New Mexico have something to be excited about with baseball. My Gamecocks eliminated tonight. They've been horrible all year. Best player didn't even play. He's going to be a top 20 pick in the next 2 drafts. The Orioles and Pirates are horrible. But hearing that New Mexico's hitting 339 on the season, and they're one of the best offenses in baseball, everyone's picking Fresno State to win that conference tournament. Give me the Lobos. That's all I had to hear. That's all I had to hear.
I was there this weekend. They won like 7 of 10 or 8 of 11, like early May, end of April. It was exciting. I know the old head coach Ray Birmingham very well, and you know he got him to a lot of tournaments, man. They have it on their right field wall, so they're fun to watch. Tomorrow, Mountain West. MountainWest.com or Mountain West Network. You can watch them. I don't know how well they'll hit in the Valley, but should be good stuff. Nick, I don't know where to start. I've got a plethora of questions. I don't know how much time you have tonight, but this sounds very intimate. It's just you and I. But I wanted to start with, I think, the NCAA tournament look. I know it ended well over a month ago. I was in Cleveland and UCSD broke my heart. We will get to that in a moment. It's funny how things work out. I think other than maybe Colorado State and UNM, maybe McNeese, your thoughts on the 2025 NCAA tournament?
Yeah, honestly, this is probably the first time in 2 months I've talked about it or have even felt about it, because it was such a disappointment. I didn't want to talk about it. I mean, New Mexico was definitely the bright spot of the tournament. They won a game. Same with Colorado State. They won a game, and they both battled in the round of 32. But when Colorado State lost a game to Maryland at the buzzer, we were both courtside for New Mexico playing at that moment. You had completely different vibes than I probably did. I know you're always anxious down there, but at that point, I'm just damn, there's no shot with the vibes we have right now that there's going to be any mid-majors in the Sweet 16. And there weren't. It's the first time, I want to say, since the late 2010s that's happened. So it hasn't happened post-COVID. But yeah, it was just not a great year for the mid-majors in the NCAA tournament. UC San Diego, we'll talk about Eric Olin here in a minute. They put up a really good fight. And that was probably one of the better first-round games of the NCAA tournament. There was just not really many good close games that first week. But yeah, I mean, the Final Four was good. I didn't even stay for the national title. I was so disheartened by everything that was going on, just with no mid majors. that's what I live and die by. And we had a horrible season, or horrible postseason, I would say, really, for my breed of basketball out there.
I'm not a fan, and those that normally watch, I'm a UNM alum. I've tried to remain objective. However, I've joked I'm like born again with Jason Eck and Eric Olin here. I have enthusiasm and then a new AD. So, I always pull for the underdog, and I talk a lot of trash on this show and this company that I own. If people like St. Pete's and what was it, Kent State, we brought up in Indiana in 2002. The VCUs, the Wichita States of the world, people remember those. And I still, it truly was a successful season for UNM. I'm not going to take away a regular season championship. And I'm going to still wag my finger at you. You need to get to a game to the pit, but it was a good season. I'm not going to ramble. You're my guest. I will start here with UNM. What stood out most about Eric Olin's coaching style during his time at UC San Diego?
Just calm. I mean, this man, he was there. I believe they were not even a D2, a D3 program when he started there. Or no, they were a D2 program. They were a D2 program, but he saw them. He was there when they were D2. He saw them when they moved to D1 through the transition. First year, they didn't have any fans. It was the COVID year. The next 3 years, none of their games counted in the conference standings. They couldn't make the conference tournament the first 4 years, but that fourth year, they had an amazing team. They finished second place, I want to say, in the Big West. Then they came out this year, and they just looked like a different team. We, at LaSalle, played them in Daytona Beach. It was our fourth game of the year, our fourth or fifth game of the year. And just going into it, we're like, yeah, this team's really good. We knew from the beginning of the season. We didn't know that they would be that good. We didn't know that they'd win 30 games, but we knew that they'd be a pretty good team. Didn't even know that they'd win the Big West, which was a great league last year at UC Irvine, who made it all the way to the NIT final game. But he's super calm, super composed. His teams play really fast. I know you guys have looked at that a lot. His teams play really fast. Something that I was shocked when I was just looking at the metrics from UC San Diego is the average possession time doesn't really tell the story. If UC San Diego has an open look in transition, they're going to put it up. They put up a lot of threes in transition as well. But their average time, I believe, was 17.4, and that was in the about 150 range. And when you play them, they can score in a flurry. And the key thing with this UC San Diego team all year was it'd be fairly close at halftime, fairly close to the first media timeout. And then they would come out of that first media timeout and they would just blow the doors out of these Big West teams. I mean, like, it would be like a 3-4 possession game. Next thing you know, there's about 6-7 minutes left and they're up 40 points against teams that are supposed to be on an even playing ground with them. You got to remember, this is a program that for 3 years, it didn't count. Nothing that they did counted. They were just kind of like there at the D1 level. And then they had a good fourth season right before they transitioned, and then they just took off this year. So it seems like he makes some really good adjustments there. He's very calm and composed. He lets his guys play. He's going to want to get up threes. He's going to want to get quick, good looks on possessions. Very offensive heavy. But it's a beautiful style of basketball to watch, and one that Lobos fans should really, really be excited to watch. I mean, Richard Pitino did a great job there over the last couple of years, had some great guards. I think, I'm not going to compare people right now, but, like Donovan Nett was great. I'm not saying Dayton's going to be on his level, but he's going to be the same kind of player. A lot of these guys are going to be more three-point shooting guys. Dayton might put up 1.5, 2.5 threes on average per game, but he's going to go downhill. I coached him when I was at Queens my first year. I know we were going to get into this later, but now I'm just rambling about Dayton. He's probably my favorite player I've ever coached. I wish I would have timed like how quick he goes down the court. Like, he can go from one end to the other. And I know that you saw it when he played at Utah State this year, and like a snap, it's like insane. Like, he's the quickest person I've probably ever been around. He could win some medals probably for the Bahamas in the Olympics. And now you got that on the basketball court. Hopefully him just blowing down the court in this style that Eric Olin plays, where it's really 3-point heavy, gets people to collapse on him, gets open 3-point shots, really opens up that offense and leads to a good season in the Mountain West, good final last season in the Mountain West, where the Mountain West is really the Mountain West, because we have all these other teams that are leaving to go to the Pac-12.
Yeah, that's I'm embracing that this year. That's why I'm going to Boise again for football. I will ask you about Dayton Albury. UNM's got high expectations, and I said it when Eric Olin was hired. By the way, we had him on. He seemed great. I was told by an assistant athletic director that he loved his time on the show, which, I make fun of myself a lot. It's like, all right, I'm a bumbling idiot who doesn't drink anymore. But he seemed very nervous at his press conference, and I got ties to La Jolla, California, because my dad used to go to a doctor at a clinic in La Jolla. So I was questioning your Baltimore and Pittsburgh thing. Still, man, I love the Mets. Tony Gwynn, my man, and I'm starting to show my age. My favorite ball player of all time. Saw him in a walk-off home run and Qualcomm right over the right field fence. Barely got over, and it was D-Day 1996. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent there. He seemed very nervous at his press conference. He was on here. He seemed relaxed. He's kind of got that Southern, because he's from Mobile, and then he had the beach vibe going. He just seemed really lax, and he was comfortable with us.
I got a story about that kind.
Go right ahead.
So we got into Daytona Beach probably. That was that Tuesday night. We played on Thursday. We got in at Tuesday, probably around 10 o'clock. It's probably 10 o'clock Eastern time, 11 o'clock Eastern time, midnight. Something really late at night. And the team, they all dispersed, blah, blah, blah. I'm cleaning off the bus, other GA. We have managers there clearing off the bus. Dump's there with us. And we walk in, and Eric Olin's just standing there. Eric Olin's just standing in the lobby, kind of like twiddling his fingers. He looks very nervous, like you mentioned. Like I don't know if I should be down here. But then there comes Fran Dunphy, and Fran Dunphy goes up, and Fran Dunphy, if you don't know, he has like 680 wins. He's one of the winningest coaches in college basketball history. He's a celebrity around Philly, celebrity around the A-10. Great basketball coach, great person. I'm not just saying that because he was my boss. But he'll introduce himself to anyone. He sees Eric Olin there, and like Eric Olin looked like a little kid. He was like starstruck, and it was just like awesome to see. And you could see over time, we stood there for maybe 2-3 minutes. He started opening up more and more and more. And that's probably what he was like on your show, Ryan. I mean, he probably saw you at the press conference, was like, this guy seems okay. And then he came on here, and as time went on, he opened up more and more and more. And I would expect to see that throughout the season. Gets comfortable with you, gets comfortable with Jeff, gets comfortable with everyone on the beat, gets comfortable with Lobo fans. And maybe there's a little bit more emotion shown throughout the year, but he's definitely going to be a little bit complacent at the start of the year, kind of calm. But I could see that expanding, and he has that in him. He has the enthusiasm, I know, definitely within him.
I'm sure you know the name. We had Mike Roberts on, which coincidentally in Albuquerque for years was the play-by-play guy for UNM, but he's an assistant for Olin at UNM now. He played in Indiana, played under Mike Davis, played under Bobby Knight. We had him on. I'll send you that link when we're done here. It was a good conversation. Seemed to kind of have a little bit of a polar, I don't want to say a polar opposite of a personality, but he was awesome to talk to. Big, I accidentally called it University of Indiana, but it was like IU, it's Indiana University. My friend Nick, who joins the show, called it the University of Rutgers, and I was like, Rick, it's not the University of Rutgers, it's Rutgers University. You're saying that to somebody whose dad went there, so I know that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still learning about this coaching staff. I love college basketball. I say it on the show. I'm repeating myself. I'm a broken record. College football is my jam. I'm not dissing on college basketball. I love it. I lived in March. That was an event that I had dreamed of covering. And when I walked into Rocket Arena on that Thursday, I couldn't believe it. It was so awesome to be there. Somebody who was, striving to be a journalist and cover stuff nationally. And, I'm in sales full time during the day. And then we started this and we've had success doing this, but that was cool. Going off on a tangent again, because that's what I do well, Ramblin' Ryan. You mentioned his personality, and I think I'm going to go to this question. And I know you've never been there, and I need to get you down here. How do you think, because of how passionate UNM fans are, how do you think Olin's going to handle, I don't know if I want to say necessarily the pressure of coaching in the Pit, but how do you think he's going to handle coaching UNM? And I'll throw it in there, the pressure of the Pit.
Yeah, to be honest, I really can't speak much for him. But when you look at like UC San Diego, they never, I mean, they were only D1 4 years before this year, but they never really had fans come out to games. The first 2-3 years, now obviously it was different situations. First 2-3 years, COVID, California regulations kind of made it difficult for them to develop a good crowd around there. But that's not a program that consistently had like a heavy fan base around them. This year, the student section was insane. Their student section, I mean, it's one of the bigger schools in the country, actually, UC San Diego. But their student section just grew and grew and grew. It was like an insane. I can't throw out a number at you. I know it was at least in 4 digits number of students they had out for like the UC Irvine game, some of the bigger games. But I don't ever really feel like there was an insane amount of pressure from the fan base on him, because before it was a D2 school. And at the D1 level, there really wasn't high expectations. Where at New Mexico, you guys are expected to make the NCAA tournament every year, compete for a Mountain West title. So he has those expectations on him. I don't know how he'll react to that, but it's definitely something completely different than what he saw at UC San Diego. A guy that's been a pretty much D2 lifer and now is starting to mold himself into becoming a really, really good D1 coach.
Yeah, I had a couple other questions that you already answered in the first response, but what kind of challenges do you think Olin will face transitioning from, again, that's what I love, Thursday and Saturday, Big West, Big Sky. And then Friday night is where I lose my money on the Horizon, and the, and the Ivy, I think, plays on Friday, but the Horizon, I get my ass kicked. But what challenges do you think Olin will face transitioning from the Big West to the Mountain West?
If anything, I think it will be better for him. I mean, everyone likes those extra days of rest where you can prep a little bit more. I really don't think that impacts many coaches. I mean, you hear like the Mick Cronins and the Kevin Willards of the world in the Big Ten just complain. I think they're just complaining to complain. You get every game on national television. Yeah, it sucks sometimes that you have to fly across country, but you're getting every game on national television. You're getting 4 or 5 days of rest. Who cares if the other team has 6 days of rest? I really don't think it impacts many coaches, but I think it's much more beneficial to have those extra days off than not to. But it's still pretty much the same thing, right? I mean, you're going to have the random Sunday night games and the random Friday night games, but for the most part, it's still you're running Tuesday, Wednesday to Sunday, or Tuesday, Wednesday to Saturday. So I can't speak much for him, but I think it will benefit him more than it'll probably hit him, because you have a couple more extra days where you can prep.
It's a year and a half later, and I'm still trying to figure out why Fox Sports put Nevada and UNM smack dab in the middle of the NFC title game between the Lions and the 49ers. It still irks me this day, even though I've had a little bit of a love-hate with the NFL lately. You talk about, I don't know, every time I hear scheduling, that just grinds my gears. I love that UNM played Utah State on a Sunday afternoon, after the Super Bowl. Like I think they should put I think there should be a little bit more emphasis on college basketball games that Sunday. I think now it's kind of reserved for the women, which, totally cool with. I'm going to ask you about Dayton Albury and that story. He went from Queens, and I believe then he transferred to Utah State. I think you were one of the couple people that texted me. You're like, I love DA. Explain how you know him, that relationship, to our listeners here in Albuquerque, and what kind of player he is. I know you touched on it earlier, but elaborate on that.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, I needed an internship to graduate from college, and I was lucky enough to hop on Queen's staff. They was pretty much like a pseudo assistant coach, operations guy, listed as an intern. But Dayton was on that team. He ended up winning ASUN Newcomer of the Year. Came over from Chipola in Florida, the junior college. But, at the beginning, like first couple of weeks of workouts, our head coach had his questions. And then as workouts went on, it's like, this kid plays really hard. He is going to give his all on the court. He's super quick. His just speed is insane. But we saw throughout the year him grow and grow and grow and become a better player and kind of develop a little bit. His shot struggled, especially at the free throw line. His free throws got a lot better. He shot a little bit better from three this year at Utah State, but he's about as good of a kid as you'll get. He lays fully into his Bahamian background. I mean, he's from the Bahamas. He's from Nassau. Super chill guy. Awesome accent. Really doesn't give a care about anything other than basketball. He's either on his phone or he's either in the gym. That's pretty much all I ever saw out of Dayton. Just a great player, great kid. I think he has a very long future in basketball, hopefully. But New Mexico got a great kid there, got a kid with a lot of upside who could be potentially a 13, 14, 15 point per game scorer. Don't expect much from him from 3-point. Just if they set screens and give him space to go downhill, then Dayton will be the best version of Dayton that he can be.
I would imagine, and you would know more than I, he's probably going to be a starter here, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, he was a starter most of the season at Utah State. I know there are injuries there, but I think that would come in to be a starter.
I'm going to try to ask this a two-part question. Do you think UNM's recent coaching turnover, and by the way, I've been to 4 Lobo fan, including the press here, has been to 4 press conferences with an introduction of Bronco Mendenhall at the end of 2023, Fernando Lovo, Jason Eck, and then Eric Olin, within, I think, was it 14 months? So, or 16, it's insane. So we've been doing a lot of those. So where do you think UNM's recent coaching turnover affects Olin's long-term potential in Albuquerque? And secondly, I got to ask you about Richard Pitino. Good or bad move to Xavier? I liked Richard. I thought I think the name carried some weight, but at the same time, I think and I've said it on the show, I'm not necessarily sure, not like I'm an X's and O's guy, but I don't know if his X's and O's were necessarily the strongest. I think he was a program builder. And if anything, and I saw it in person, and so did you against Marquette, and that first 15 minutes, maybe, I don't know, 11 to 15 minutes against Michigan State, where this season was probably his best coaching job. So I'm sorry once again for that ramble, but that two-part question, you can answer it however you want.
Yeah, with the longevity, I think it all comes down to coach. And one of the good parts about everyone leaving to the Pac-12 is New Mexico should be a consistent top 2-3 team every single year. No ifs, ands, or buts in the Mountain West. Now, that might be what you guys expect now, but it's a super deep league where anyone could really slide in there. And there's consistently 6 or 7 teams that could be competing for those top 3 spots. But with everyone leaving, it's like there's no reason why New Mexico shouldn't be the premier program or one of the top 2 premier programs in the Mountain West. And that carries weight with some dudes. So with everything happening, Coach Olin could be completely complacent. He's like, this place is awesome. The pit's rocking every night. I have great support behind me. Why not stay here and just continue to build a powerhouse in Albuquerque? And with Pitino to Xavier, I mean, Pitino was a solid coach in Minnesota. People don't give him all the credit that was really due there. In February, he had those collapses, and we saw that early on in New Mexico too. I mean, he collapsed a couple of times in February. But the last 2 years have kind of shown, hey, maybe I'm over that. And he coached very well in the tournament. Xavier, I visited Xavier in high school, and that arena is a different level. I mean, the pit's a different level when it's rocking, but like the way the Cintas Center looks, it's a beautiful arena. Now, that was 8 years ago or something like that, but that place was probably one of the pretty arenas I've prettier arenas I've ever been to. Great support there. I think he'll be solid. Like, I don't think he will build it up like what happened about 10 years ago when they were a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, or to the level that his father has St. John's right now. But I think that they could be a solid Big East team that could maybe get a 7, 8, 9, 10 seed consistently. Now, I don't know if that's really what they want there, but it gives you a little bit of sustained success. But I think both hires were good for both sides. And I think if that's what Olin wants, and that's what a lot of coaches want, just sustained success in a very good league, he could be in Albuquerque for a while.
Man, in the San Diego metropolitan area for what, 20 some years. As I mentioned, if you're leaving Torrey Pines to come to Albuquerque, not, there are a lot of people that like it here. Can I ask you, I'm going off topic here. And I know St. John's, I don't know. I don't think it's really a mid-major, but you mentioned it. I thought if they got Arkansas in the second round, it was, watch out. And it was, the Italian duel, but I don't know. What did you make of Rick Pitino at St. John's? Because I was explaining, for people here in Albuquerque, the fact that St. John's was on the back of the New York Post again, and it was right around, the start of Mets Yankees, their seasons. St. John's for about a month, maybe two, ruled that city. I really thought he was, the way they played defense. I know they didn't shoot many threes. They didn't shoot them well. But I think Arkansas might have had a little bit more speed than them, more athleticism. But what did you make of this season for Rick Pitino and St. John's? I personally, who has a family member or family members that went there to St. John's, I don't know. It was cool. I respect it. And I was at UNM at St. John's in the Garden, but your thoughts on their season? I thought it was good for college basketball.
Yeah. Same with you. My grandfather has a degree from there. I was watching the Arkansas game with him, drove back to Pittsburgh from Cleveland, and that kind of stunk that they lost that game, but they captivated that city. Like, it's been quite a while probably since the Big East was really, really good, when you had Kemba Walker and they were playing on the first day of the Big East tournament, that run that you had like national media embrace a team like this. You had St. John's on Jimmy Fallon. I think it was Fallon. It was either Fallon or Kimmel. They had a little segment there. It
was Fallon.
Fallon. They captivated that whole city. I mean, like, every St. John's game was a big event. Everyone in New York City was talking about it. It reminds me of Coming to America, when they're going to the St. John's game. It was rocking then. That's what I picture St. John's should be like. MSG packed out. Everyone wants to go see St. John's basketball. That defense was awesome this year. It was probably the prettiest defense I watched in all college basketball this season, but they just couldn't make a shot. And we saw that in that Arkansas game. RJ Lewis got benched, and they got a little pissed off, and he transferred out. But I think, that he's building a great program there. He's done it in 2 years. That's all he's done in his career. Build great programs. And hopefully they're competing for a national title again. If I were to do a bracket this past season, I would have taken St. John's because it was a little bit different than everyone else. That defense was great. They have the story. Rick Pitino could ride off in the sunset. I thought maybe it would have been last year. Maybe it'll be this year. Maybe he'll ride off in the sunset and win a national title with St. John's, a program that's been starving for one for a long time. And he'll never rewrite his legacy. But people will be like, he's more than just that scandal that happened at Louisville. He is a great basketball coach who had multiple programs he built up, had success at all of them, and was just a great basketball coach.
He tapped my buddy and coworker writes for the Santa Fe New Mexican, Will Weber, during the Michigan State game, and asked what the Colorado State score was, and he sat right behind. I'm not trying. It's not where I'm going with this, but it was just cool because he was like super laid back, and it was the fact that he tapped my buddy Will on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, what's the Colorado State score?" And I was gonna do his mama called him Cassius. I'm gonna call him Cassius. what are the realist? Everybody loves Randy Watson, so I'll go to the barbershop. What are the realistic expectations for Olin's first season with the Lobos for you? And other than Dayton Albury, I don't know if you've seen the roster. Are there any other current players on the roster that you really think are going to thrive in his system in the pit?
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, we're very early in the offseason, but I could see New Mexico making the NCAA tournament again. I wouldn't be shocked at all, just with the legacy they've had the last couple of years and making the NCAA tournament, winning a game this year. The committee kind of buys into that a little bit. We've seen it with San Diego State the last couple of years, kind of just sneaking in the NCAA tournament. Maybe there's a little bit of like Mountain West sorrow. Everyone's sad that the league's breaking apart. Let's put in as many Mountain West teams as we can. I would love to see that happen. But maybe they're like that. The rest of the roster, I know Anthony Chole's there. He was started at Maryland. I believe he was at New Mexico State after that. Then he was at Garden City, I believe, this year.
Rutgers.
Rutgers, yeah. But I thought that I liked him. I liked him at the junior college level. He dominated at the junior college level, obviously, because he was a 6'9", just lengthy dude that could get rebounds and score. But I think that he could be a good piece there. Chris Howell, I love him coming over from UC San Diego, a dude that can shoot the three ball a little bit. And follows Olin, so he knows how Olin coaches. He can help out the rest of the team with all that stuff. Luke Hout coming over from Point Loma. There's probably a night or two where Eric Olin snuck over there and watched a Point Loma game not too far away from UC San Diego. Great program at the D2 level. It's like, this kid's pretty good. He didn't play 2 years ago. Average, I want to say, 13.5 points per game this past year. He was pretty good. Javis Miller comes over from North Dakota State. In November and December, their offense was awesome. They were top 5, one of my favorite teams to watch in the country, just because that offense was amazing. Then they had a couple injuries and they fell off, but he still had a really good season. He played a lot of the season. So I like these pieces that New Mexico has. I don't really know how it plays with the rest of the league because I really haven't looked at the rest of the league, but I wouldn't be shocked if they make back the NCAA tournament. I don't know if they would compete for a regular season title right away. I could see them making a run in Las Vegas in the conference tournament. But I think a realistic expectation in the regular season for this team right now is maybe the 3, 4, 5, 6 mark, and getting to the NCAA tournament maybe as a 10, 11, 9 seed, which, I mean, they were a 10 seed last year and they had a great year last year. So you would love to have that opportunity again to be in position.
You mentioned the committee. I think there's some bias from the committee towards the Mountain West Conference, and I got to go back. This goes back to 2013, man. They were a 3 seed. UNM under Alford dominated. They lost to Harvard. The next year, they basically do the same thing, and they get a 7 seed against Stanford, and Stanford ends up in the Sweet 16. I think they beat Kansas in the second round. I don't think there's any love. I had a friend yell at me and call me a clown here in Albuquerque because I was like, they need to win 2 games. Like I'm sick of this just winning a Mountain West Conference championship shit. Like, it's great and it gets you the berth. I just think it's a program, and I'm purposely telling you this. It's a program that I think it just needs to find its way to that second weekend. I think it would leaps and bounds. And if they got to the Elite 8, Albuquerque would, it would explode. We've already tested one atomic bomb here. It would be the second. I wanted to ask you about a little bit of and I won't keep you much longer. But I wanted to ask you about around the nation when it comes to some mid-major teams or just mid-major basketball in general. I know it's May, but are there any storylines you're looking forward heading into 2025, 2026?
The 8-10. I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased working in the 8-10, but this is the first year of them doing a revenue sharing model. So you have a lot of programs, all but one program bought in. And the buy-in was $250,000 shared within the rest of the league. And we saw a lot of high major players transfer down, high major players who played significant roles at high major schools come down to the A10, take a little sum of money, and maybe get a bigger role. And we saw teams play with it different ways. One of them that I was really intrigued in was George Washington. They made the Crown. They lost to Boise State, but they made the Crown, and they returned a lot of that team. I believe they had 21 wins on the season. They returned a lot of that team, including Rafael Castro, their big man, and they bring in a couple really, really high producers from the mid-major level that come in and play. So that's really intriguing because I think they've been asking for years. Everyone's been asking for years. When's the A10 going to be a multi-bid league again? And I say it every year, and I always bite myself in the ass, so it probably won't be true. But maybe
I thought George Mason was good enough to the way they played defense. I thought they were good enough to be in the tournament this year.
They were a great defensive team, and I thought that VCU would make a run in the NCAA tournament, but they didn't end up doing it. So WCC, kind of connecting back to the Pac-12 whole thing. This is Gonzaga's last year in the WCC. For a long time, everyone's like, hey, they're a high major and a mid-major conference. Everyone else in this league stinks. St. Mary's has been awesome the last couple of years, by the way, which makes absolutely no sense for anyone to say that. But this is going to be the last time potentially that we see a St. Mary's against Gonzaga consistently. I'd love to see St. Mary's in the Pac-12, but they're such a small school. People don't really know how small of a school that is. That I don't know if they make it the jump. So you got that. I think San Francisco is going to be really good in that league as well. Santa Clara is always really good. Herb Sendek has been trying to get over the hump there for a very, very long time. Let's see. Keep going down. Ivy League. I love the Ivy League. Kind of got a soft spot for that. But Yale's going to be really good this year. Yale was really good last year, but I could see Yale maybe getting off to a hot start and getting in the top 25 early in the season. But you have a couple teams that it's not going to be as great of a league as it has been the last couple of years. You see maybe a Penn make a jump with Fran McCaffrey there in his first year, completely different style of basketball than that league is used to seeing coming over from Iowa. I think Penn could be interesting in the league, but I really, really like Yale to be one of the better mid-major teams in the country. Big South, High Point will continue to do well. Southland, Will Wade left to go to NC State, but they still have a crap ton of money for that league. I think it could open up a little bit. The CAA, I always love the top of this league. It just stinks that the bottom of the league is not very good, but you have College of Charleston and UNCW who have NIL programs with multi-millions of dollars getting a lot of dudes in these programs. Chris Mack had a solid first year at Charleston. They pumped in a couple $1 million, got a couple dudes, got a Mr. Dean from USC Upstate, who I love, who I think could be a really good piece that they could continue to build and grow. Maybe he'll be at a higher school in a couple of years, but he's there at least for now. And then you have a UNCW program who just got a whole bunch of CAA players. They stole from the rest of the league, from the bottom of the league, got the bottom of the league's top players. And I think that's a really, really interesting way to do the transfer portal in NIL now. They know that they can punch above the rest of the league, so they're doing it, and they're literally stealing from the rest of the league, which makes it also a lot of fun because you got a lot of big games coming up for people. When CJ Luster goes back and he plays against Stony Brook, that's a huge game. When Christian May goes to Towson, and Towson's not a program that usually has great crowds, I think they'll be very good this year too. They return pretty much their whole team outside of Christian May. That's a huge game at Towson. Maybe they'll have a good crowd for that. William and Mary has a great team in that league. Their offense is awesome. They'll press you up and down the court. I love the CAA. I think it's going to be a very good league once again. But yeah, CAA, Ivy League, two leagues that are going to be very interesting this year. I think that Gonzaga's not a mid-major, but they're in a mid-major league, and it's their last year doing it. I would love to see them finish maybe third place in the league when you have a really good San Francisco team, a St. Mary's program that continues to get slept on, does really well, their biggest rival. Goodbye, Gonzaga. And they just wave them off and they finish third place. That would be awesome. And the A10 with the revenue sharing, hopefully an interesting league this year and a lot more competitive at the top. Getting non-conference wins would be awesome for that league. They haven't been able to do it in quite a while against high-level talent, but they'll definitely have their shot this year. So it'll be an interesting year.
You mentioned schedule. I'm interested to see what Eric Owen's going to do, because what Rick Pitino was able to do last year, they went and beat UCLA and Vegas and Henderson. Then they traveled to New York. That was still a good game. I just thought that was a long trip, and that about went as I thought it would go. But then you got VCU in the pit. I don't know if they're going to keep that game, but it should be in Richmond this year. I'm excited for that. UNM's played St. Mary's. Had the potential to play them 3 times this year. I think in the Palm Springs, the Acrisure. But they played them twice. They beat them once in Moraga, which is a tall task to do. But in Cleveland, St. Mary's was there. And then with the West Coast Conference combining with the Mountain West Conference, I've seen a little bit more of Randy Bennett than I would have ever thought. Talk about the job he's done there, because they are, Jacob didn't join me. We called Mitchell Saxon, Mr. Saxo Beats, but, I don't know, man. I think it's good that they're a staple and they're consistently in and out of the tournament. I mean, with Gonzaga leaving, I don't know where they go. I know you kind of touched on it, but I just feel like and they played Alabama pretty well. I feel like they're a very formidable program. And it is such small school. I had a buddy I went to high school with, I graduated high school with, and he went to St. Mary's. But I would consider it, if you're a big college basketball fan, not a casual one, that's a consistent program that you should watch out for.
Yeah, they're consistently in the top 25, just like Gonzaga, consistently in the top 25. And they've been one of the best defensive teams in the country the last couple of years. I mean, Randy Bennett's consistently had them in the top 15, not even top 20, top 15 of the country in defensive efficiency. Maybe they don't run the quickest out, but their defense is great, and it leads to churning down other teams on defense because they run long offensive possessions, and they do it very efficiently. But like you mentioned, Ryan, I mean, they aren't a big school. It's not a huge arena they have there in Moraga, but it's packed out every night. They're consistently winning. They're consistently getting 20-plus wins, making the NCAA tournament. He's turned a school that's kind of just a dot on the D1 map into one of the top college basketball schools in the country. When you think of college basketball-centered schools, I would say St. Mary's is like I'm not talking about like in New Mexico where you have a football program,
right? A
school that only has basketball. They're definitely one of the first 5 that many people think of. Gonzaga, well, no, all right, Big East as well, but you have top 10. You got Gonzaga, Villanova, Creighton, Xavier, St. John's. Maybe throw in a couple other Big East schools, and then you have St. Mary's. So you have St. Mary's, Gonzaga, and the Big East schools pretty much. So he's built a school that was just a dot on the map. No one really cared about. He's been there for, 25, 30 years at this point, and he's built them in a consistent 20-win team, making the NCAA tournament. Great defensive program. A program that's developed a lot of NBA talent. Everyone loves Matthew Dellavedova, but there's been a lot of dudes that have gone through that St. Mary's program and have played in the NBA or played in the highest level out back. He has had a lot of players from Australia and New Zealand go back to the NBL and play at the highest level over there in Oceania. And it's just been, it's really impressive that he's turned a school that's a map dot to a power and one of the faces of college basketball.
If you had to pick a school like, Gonzaga, maybe you could throw Dayton in there. I think the mid-major, probably Bar, and you could throw San Diego State in there because they have played for a title in the last, couple of years. If you had to pick at the next Gonzaga, maybe who would it be?
When Pat Kelsey was at Charleston, I always said that. I mean, he had that program rolling. He could have stayed there forever. If any of you guys have ever been to Charleston's probably my favorite city in the country. It's a beautiful place. Awesome nightlife. Awesome people all around there. Very chill place. Great food scene. Tons of beaches. Really not that far away from a city like Charlotte or Columbia. When I went to South Carolina, I love Columbia because you were an hour and a half away from Charlotte. Awesome, underrated city. You're about 2.5 hours away from Atlanta. Hour and a half away from Greenville, another underrated city. Hour and a half away from Charleston. But Charleston's really one of the gems of the country. I wouldn't even say them at this point, but I would stay in that league. I could say if Takeo Siddle continues to stay around at UNCW, they finally got over the hump and made the NCAA tournament this year. They competed for quite a bit. Another beach town. They sell out every game there. It's another kind of gym like St. Mary's. It's not humongous at Trask, but they sell out every single game. It's jumping. They have a great student section, and they win. They play a great style of defense. You know, Kevin Keats had it rolling before him. He's a Kevin Keats disciple, and he's continued to keep it rolling. They're at the point where they're poaching players from other teams in the league. They have $2, $3, $4 million in NIL that will just continue to grow in a league that they should be in the top 2, 3 in every single year. I could see a UNCW becoming that program. It's going to change every 3 years because coaches hop around. We saw that with a Pat Kelsey. But at this point, I could see UNCW becoming maybe the next Gonzaga if Takeo Siddle sticks around, because they'll have that support not only monetarily but in the community. And they're in a league right now where they can win. I could see them going to the A-10 in a couple years and doing very well in that league as well. Maybe even a High Point staying in North Carolina. You know, High Point has a ton of money. And they're in a league in the Big South where they probably have $1 million to $2 million more dollars than the next closest team to them in the conference. And they get ACC level players to come to a Big South program, and they win 25, 30 games, and it's sold out, and you're getting fine dining every night, and you got ice cream trucks on campus, and you got a president that gives millions of dollars to the basketball program and a top tier basketball facility and a whole bunch of great school scene, party scene, life scene, just everything. I could see those two schools building up to being a program like that, High Point and UNCW. If Charleston, I don't know if Chris Mack's the guy, to be completely honest. I'm not trying to take a shot at Chris Mack, but I don't think Chris Mack's the guy, and he wants to probably get out of there when he sniffs a little bit of success. But you get a young, hungry guy who loves Charleston, because it's really not that hard to find a person that doesn't love Charleston, because Charleston's an amazing city. I'm going to say it over and over again. I say it to everyone. Charleston's my favorite city in the country. But those three programs could be that program, especially on the East Coast. That could be a Gonzaga-like program and just churn out 25, 31 seasons, NBA players, wins the NCAA tournament.
When Pitino had left, again, I was trying to get my buddy Jacob Neff to join us tonight because you would have loved him. And he would have loved this conversation, bar none. And he's got roots in Vegas, gambling wise. His uncle used to see the book at the Mirage, so he knows his shit. When Kevin Keats got canned at NC State, and it was opened here, and I was kind of like, I asked him, I was like, "What do you think about Kevin Keats?" He was like, "That's who I was thinking of." And then he said Eric Olin, because he just knows it. Yeah, I thought Kevin Keats would have been a good. I don't know what happened there, but I remember him a decade ago, and when they got when he got UNC Wilmington into the NCAA tournament. Lastly, Nick, I had a ton more questions, but we're pushing an hour, and I don't want to keep you anymore, and I'm by myself. Any bold and again, I know it's May and I'm being generic media guy here, but any bold predictions for a mid-major team this year, or any team that you think we're going to look in March of 2026 and say, okay, I kind of saw that deep run coming in the tournament?
At this point, I don't know. If I just keep shooting them or shouting them out. I think UNCW can maybe make a run in the NCAA tournament, but I want my bold prediction to be, and this is more of just a wish, not a prediction, that we have maybe 5, 6 mid-major teams in the Sweet 16. I would love to see a Mountain West, more than one Mountain West team. I'd like to see maybe 2 or 3 make a run of that Sweet 16, because this is just going to be such a bittersweet season with half the league leaving. Everyone, I know we're on a Mountain West Center podcast right now, but I went to school on the East Coast. I've grown up on the East Coast. I've pretty much spent all but a couple days of my life on the East Coast. All my buddies love Mountain West basketball. It's not just like a Twitter thing. It's not just like a West Coast thing, late night only thing on TV. Like, I can sit down and have a full-flooded conversation with my friends that aren't basketball friends about the Mountain West, because the league's just so special. You got great teams, great fans, great players, great programs. So I would like to see the league have one last hurrah. I don't know if that's 2, 3 teams in the Sweet 16. everyone going unbeaten in the round of 64, or if we could have another team like a San Diego State make the national title or Final Four. But I would just love to see the Mountain West get multiple wins in the NCAA tournament, have that last hurrah before money and greed and NIL bites us once again with the Pac-12.
It's like Coach Tom Moser on Twitter. He's a Delaware guy. I think you know him, but he does Top of the Mountain, and we've had him on the show. And he's like I said, he's in Delaware, and he's this avid Mountain West Conference basketball fan. So I think that, and a lot of our listeners probably like hearing that. I got to ask you about Brandon Hyde. Yay or nay? Were you happy? Were you not happy?
For a couple years, I didn't think that he was the guy. Like, good for him. They had that 100-win season. They won the AL East. But that year in the postseason, he overmanaged that first playoff game, and it set him back the rest of the series. Then they ended up getting swept. Last year against the Royals in the postseason, they ended up getting swept. I just don't think he's that great of a manager. You can blame Elias for not putting together a great pitching staff, which he didn't. And he was banking on these guys, these injured guys, who were injured at the beginning of the season to begin with. They were injured at the beginning of the season. You knew that you weren't going to have them. So I think that he should be at fault here too. I also think that Rubenstein should be at fault too, the new owner. I don't think Angelo should have caved in and sold the team. He went on his little PR tour. He was throwing out hats, squirting water guns. He had his bobblehead day about a month ago. Gave that bobblehead right away. I mean, who the hell wants a David Rubenstein bobblehead? He's a banker or something like that. But there's a lot of people at fault here. I'm perfectly fine with Brandon Hyde being gone. Pirates side of me, I'm perfectly fine being Derek Shelton gone. I think that that Bob Nutting needs to sell the team in Pittsburgh. I can't explain my thoughts about him. I despise that guy. I don't think anyone likes him. Like, I don't think his family likes him, which is just insane. Like, there's not a universally hated guy like him. And he said he's going to give the team to his kids. And I'm just going to rant forever. The Pirates and Orioles are in a really bad spot right now. I have two really, really bad baseball teams. I've been watching a lot of college baseball. I'm slowly trying to become a Royals fan for the season because my buddy's working PR for the Royals. But the Orioles and Pirates are in bad situations. I'm perfectly fine with both of them canning their managers. They're both needed. Now they both need to can their GMs. I know that Rubenstein's not going to sell because he just got the team last year, but Bob Nutting needs to sell the team, and we've been saying that as Pirates fans for the last 20 years. He is a horrible owner who doesn't give up any money. That's why they're the fourth most profitable team in baseball. The Pirates have had 3 winning seasons my whole life. I was born in 2001. I know that's still pretty young, but they've had 3 winning seasons my whole life. And it's because he doesn't give any money into the organization. They're the 4th most profitable team. You would think that at least you would win if you're the 4th most profitable team. You have the face of baseball on your team. He hasn't won a game this month. He's given up like 6 runs in his 4 starts. He has like a 2 ERA in his career, and he has a losing record. It's just, I could go on and on and on. The Pirates and Orioles are in horrible positions right now.
No, I had to ask you about it. The Pirates. The owner, I knew about that owner, and it's just like I have a buddy here who covered college baseball and minor league baseball, Chris Jackson, and he's a Pirates fan, and it's he just rolls his eyes, and he knows quadruple what I know, and it's funny to hear him talk about the Pirates. But I have to ask you. So you're originally from Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
So how does the Baltimore Oriole Pittsburgh Steelers thing work?
So I grew up. I mean, I wasn't really an Oriole fan when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, I was all Pittsburgh. I was all Pirates, all Steelers. I think that really built me up, going into school in Baltimore. I moved here when I was 2, so I'm pretty much from Baltimore. But both my parents are from Pittsburgh. I was born in Pittsburgh. But I had no other choice but to be a Steeler and Pirate fan. And everyone I went to school with was a Raven fan, with the exception of probably a couple of like Redskins fans. But, I was just like getting picked on about it my whole life. So I had to shoot it right back at him. It really helped me grow as a person there. But as I started getting older and, a little bit more freedom, I went to a lot of Orioles games because I only live like 6, 7, 8 miles away. It's like a 10, 15-minute drive to Camden Yards. Really easy to get off the highway to Camden Yards. So no one. I was getting shit early on in like high school and college. Like, you're not an Oriole fan, you're a Pirate fan. But when they realized I was going to a lot more games than they were, and I'm watching every night, they're like, yeah, all right, I give you credit. And nothing I do in life, I half-ass. Everything I go full in. If I say I'm a fan of something, I'm a fan of something. Like, I used to say, like, I like the T-Wolves. I haven't watched a Timberwolves game in probably 12 years. I'm not a Timberwolves fan.
I would gather maybe you're not watching tonight. Being that you're talking nonsense with me. Nick, I've appreciated kind of this acquaintance, this media friendship. And it was very funny in Cleveland. You were like, hey, are you on the media row? And I was like, I didn't know what you look like because I'd only talked to you on a phone call. So that was a pleasure and a surprise. And it was very cool. And I completely forgot because I'm becoming an old man that you were like, I don't like the vibes here. And I was like, look, I'm hated on the company that I own in this show because I'm like, I guess Lobo hater number one. And again, I've been reborn. And you know who Mike Loxley is. I think I told you that story.
Yeah.
So,
Sucks.
yeah, it was very cool to meet you, man. And I know I've probably asked some questions that you're like, shit, this guy asked this tonight. But, dude, I've always appreciated your time, and it was really a pleasure to meet you in Cleveland at the tournament.
Same here. It was awesome meeting you. I saw you running back and forth. I thought it was you.
Yeah.
Like, that has to be you. Ryan's running back and forth here. He's going crazy before the start of this. So when we tipped off, I texted you, and it was you, and we had a nice couple conversations.
It was more so my bladder, how you met me, because I drank so much coffee and water, and it's something I deal with in my personal life where I'm probably giving away too much information, just anxiety and in general. And I'm like, I always got to take a piss. But when you add coffee and water to that, and I'm trying to watch the game, and I don't want to be bothered by, doing this the whole time, and like jittering and having to pee. So I was trying to do that before the Lobo game started. So that's probably too much information for people who haven't watched the show. I try to be funny. I'm no comedian, but it is what it is. Nick, I will bug you probably closer to college basketball season. I can't thank you enough again for taking an hour out of a Tuesday night, man.
Always here, just watching baseball, so I'm always down to talk some hoops.
Yeah, I had to watch the Mets go scoreless tonight right before we logged on, so that was a lot of fun. Nick, pleasure. We'll be in touch. Nick Lawrence and Mid-Major Madness at @mid_madness. Follow him. He's constantly tweeting. He's all about it. If you love mid-major basketball, he's your source. Thanks a lot, man. Hey, you have a great summer.
Appreciate it. You too.
All right. I love talking to him. I was happy to meet him. In Cleveland, plethora full of knowledge at a young age. That's what really, I think, blows my mind. So I hope he keeps on the train that he's on, especially be a grad assistant at a school like the Saul. My name is Ryan Tamori. This is the Pit Press Live. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
At a time when every dollar counts, Capital Ford in Santa Fe is stepping up and offering employee pricing for everyone. Yes, employee pricing for everyone is now available on new Fords. You pay what Ford employees pay. Employee pricing means save up to $9,000 off MSRP on a new 25 Ford F-150, or save up to $4,800 off, plus 3.9% APR on a new 24 Ford Bronco. From America, for America. We're Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
I didn't know if Nick was in Philadelphia, and I was going to hit him with some Philadelphia Freedom or Meek Mill. And I didn't intro him that way. I forgot. I want to thank Nick Lorenzen for joining us. I really appreciate it. And a lot of watchers. Looks like we're back. A lot of watchers. A lot of viewership tonight. Listeners. Appreciate everybody. Don't really have much. Going to wrap up the show now. We'll be back. Like I said, we're going back to the 2 nights a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and then tentatively, hopefully, starting on June 4th, the Together We Howl series with 505 Sports Venture Foundation and Kurt Roth and everybody over there, and I think and the Lobo Club. I don't want to put words in anybody else, but I know we're partnering with 505 Sports Venture Foundation, your collective, but now with revenue sharing, much smarter people than I can explain it. Just kind of educate the fans and Lobo alumni on it that aren't familiar with it. It's kind of Kurt's idea. Bo Davidson, the general manager for the UNM football team, is set to join us that night. And then Jason Eck, some players, and then again, Eric Olin and some players. Backtrack. The offensive and defensive coordinator for UNM football. And I'm going to throw this out there. Daniel DePrado joined us a couple weeks ago. You can go to our YouTube channel at the Pit Press NM and find that. He's a big ball of energy. I love talking to him. Second time I've done that. He was at Lobo Baseball. But I think if you want to see the excitement for Lobo football, I think he is probably the guy next in line, or maybe a little bit more so than Jason Eck. Obviously, Coach Eck is the face of it, but I don't know. He had a lot of energy. I loved it, how he approaches every day. I wish I applied that to my life. I don't. I'm a negative Nancy. Yeah, so that will be starting June 4th. I'm hoping Ray Birmingham. I don't have any guests lined up. We'll throw it out in the Twitterverse or Xverse tomorrow or Thursday. See who we can have on Thursday. But again, yeah, look out for that series. In 2 months, the way time flies, I don't know anymore. It's already almost June. July. Let me repeat that. July 16th and 17th, we will be in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Mountain West Conference Football Media Days. Looking forward to that. Looks like we're going. The whole tribe's going. The gang. Bring you as much coverage as we can. It's more of a shebang than basketball media days that we've done. It's football. It's a bigger deal. I know this is a basketball state, basketball city, basketball school. So looking forward to that. And then trying to bring you more coverage. I'll throw out our Gmail at the Pit Press, or it's thepitpressnm@gmail.com. If you have any questions, I've posted editorials on our website, the Pit Press NM. Mentioned the Pit Press Plus, TPP. Say that 5 times fast. Trying to think what else. I'm sorry, I'm a little gassed tonight. And hosted by myself, not trying to make excuses. I was waiting for Ronnie to chime in on Juan Soto's lack of hustle, and then the New York Knicks. I will throw that out there because I do get hit up on that. Yeah, I'm a big NBA hater, And the 4 in the Knicks help. Trust me. I'm not going to sit back here and say I watched every Knicks game this season because no, I didn't. When I knew they were about the 2nd or 3rd seed, I knew I was going to watch the postseason. I'm a Cat guy. He's a Jersey guy. I'm pumped he's a Knick. I loved Mikal Bridges when he was with the Suns, and in his rookie year where he went to the, I think it was his rookie year where he went to the finals with the CP3 and Devin Booker. I love the players on this team. It's refreshing from watching the rat expletive that they were for a long time. I've said on here I was a wee lad, but I remember where I was game 7, 1994 NBA Finals. John Starks going, 2 of 17? And the Rockets rolling in and deservedly so. Akeem Olajuwon, Kenny Smith, Big Shot Bob, Rudy Tomjanovich, going back to back. I respect those Rockets teams. Poor Nick Anderson the next year. Ooh. Yeah, I'm pumped for the Knicks. And it's just refreshing that it's the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and the Pacers and the Knicks. And at least, certain people I can't read that. What was I going to say? I don't know. Even if the Knicks and the Pacers are a 90s rivalry, I'm ready. Yeah, I said on here, it's a waste of money. I even threw WFAN New York on today to hear what they had to say, and I caught a little bit of Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata. Yeah, it's weird. But I will say this, though. Pete Alonso has refreshed his bat. His swing's better than ever. So for me, Mr. Negativity, there's the positivity. Jeff McNeil's come back from injury, looked good. And I think Lindor is Lindor. But it is what it is. I don't know. He could wake up, but right now it is not good. And Michael K came out today on his show in New York and said he's dull or gloom. It's gloom, or glum. I forgot the adjective he used there, but anyway, keep a lookout. Again, we're trying to do more on the Pit Press Plus. Eric's on vacation. He took a little one to Disneyland and his wife. So, Ed was supposed to join me tonight. Something happened. And then Nick's kind of busy with work. I don't know what I can say and can't say. So sorry that it's less Ryan Tamori tonight, and not more Nick Nunez. But again, we're trying to bring you more Lobo content as we can. I know it's getting in the dog days of summer, I guess, even though it's like the first day of summer. What else was I going to say? Finally, yeah, UNM baseball. I mean, they are fun to watch offensively. Again, led the nation with a 339 batting average. I know the altitude helps, but they're in the Mountain West Conference. It would be nice to see if they could get on a run this week. 2:00 tomorrow, Mountain West Network, 95.9, 610 a.m., the Sports Animal. The voice of the Lobos, Rob Portnoy on the call. I did my best radio voice there. Rob Portnoy on the call. Appreciate everybody that's watching. Not trying to crash and burn. I'll get out of here. On behalf of Eric Malton, Ed Nunez, Nick Nunez, Jacob Neff, my name is Ryan Tamori. Thursday night, same Lobo time, same Lobo place. 8:00 on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And as I always say, my older, dumber self, don't do anything that I would do. Everybody have a great Tuesday night. Have a good Wednesday. We'll talk to you Thursday night.